So we're here at Ultimate Wrestling Divine Intervention in Geneva, New York. And who are you?
People, you are so lucky today. You have a former WWF, WCW, ECW superstar in your midst, which, in all reality, you shouldn't even have the privilege of looking at me and watching me on your television show. But I'm going to do you the honors because I think everybody deserves to see the bad boy Barry Hardy with his bodyguard Mean Mike.
Nice. So this is your muscle, right?
Yeah, he takes care of the bad boy when the bad boy needs a little help.
Nice. When did your career start, anyway?
Started at the Monster Factory in 1987. Was trained by Charlie Fulton, Pretty Boy Larry Sharp. Trained with guys like Chris Candido. By 1988, I was in the World Wrestling Federation and teamed up, trained with Dwayne Gill. Trained him in 1990 and went on the road full time with WWF as the Executioners. Now I'm back doing independence and do have a tag team called the Dirty White Boys.
And who's your partner in that?
Brett is my partner up there. We're wrestling up in New Era, or Next Era Wrestling. Sorry about that.
That's cool. What was your best match that you would say you ever had?
I would probably have to say, I have so many that were very good matches. Probably one of my best would have been with either the Smoking Guns or the Bushwhackers. I did wrestle the Head Shrinkers in Madison Square Garden. That was a pretty awesome match too. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the strangest thing that's ever happened to you at a wrestling event?
Up in Canada, we were doing a 30-man battle royal for World Wrestling Federation, and a fan tried to jump in. Skinner stepped on the guy's neck. The biggest mistake the guy made was he jumped in at the beginning of the battle royal and not at the end, so he had 30 guys kicking the crap out of him. It was a party.
That's awesome.
What was the worst match you've ever had? Or least favorite, you know?
Least favorite? I'd probably have to say was one of the matches when I first started out with the Rockers. Bad spot. They really didn't want to do a whole lot. They were kind of having trouble with Vince at the time, so it was just a short and sweet match.
Nice. What's the high point of your career?
I'd say it's probably the Madison Square Garden match. That was, everybody wants to wrestle at the Garden, you know, Madison Square Garden. I wrestled at Maple Leaf Garden, but yeah, wrestling in front of like 28,000 people was definitely the high point of my career.
That's cool. You mentioned you were in ECW at some point?
Yep, did a stint for about 6 to 8 months in ECW.
And was that at the high point of ECW, or?
Yeah, that was actually with the real ECW before it was bought out and everything. My manager was Tommy Rich at the time. I was part of the FBI.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. And how did that go?
It was pretty decent. I was really not an extreme wrestler, so I went and talked to Paulie and kind of told him, you know, I'm more of a wrestler, not a chair-throwing crazy person like my buddy Axel Rotten. So I kind of didn't really fit in there, but I had a lot of fun there.
You wrestled for WCW as well?
Yeah. Did a lot. I was about 2 years down in doing Orlando, the shows at Universal Studios, MGM Studios, that kind of stuff. Wrestled a lot of people there. Harlem Heat, great match. Probably one of the best matches I ever had in WCW had to be with Brian Pillman. I got to wrestle Flying Brian before he left, so that was a pretty awesome match also.
What would you say the differences are between those three companies?
WWF, the old days, was an awesome company. It was very, they took care of the guys. There wasn't a whole bunch of attitudes in there. There was a couple, but everybody pretty much got along and stuff like that. When I went to WCW, it was a totally different, relaxed atmosphere. Everybody was just, you know, they accepted me right in and everything. There was no, hey, you came from WWF, we're not going to wrestle you or we're going to stiff you. None of that happened or anything.
What about ECW?
ECW was very laid back too. I had a good time in all three of them. You know, nowadays though, it's a lot different. Vince doesn't let anybody back in the back anymore. I mean, I spent 9 years there, and I can't even get back in the locker room to see my friends. So that kind of pisses me off.
I'm not going to ask you who your least favorite person to work with is, but who's your most favorite person to work with?
The Bushwhackers, definitely. I loved wrestling the Bushwhackers. I can't even tell you how many times I wrestled on them, and I would say LOD. We had some really great matches with LOD. You know? I mean, we got the crap kicked out of us, me and Dwayne, but it was always a good time working with them. You know, they protected us, they took care of us, so that's the thing. Everybody walks away at the end of the night.
That's cool. What was the the fan reaction to you guys like when you were in the FBI and ECW? Have you been a fan favorite most of your career, or
oh no, they
hated?
hate me. Yeah, they still hate me, which is good. Keep hating me. I love it. That keeps me employed. Yeah, they hated us. They hated Tommy Rich. They hated Little Guido, which was great. So I got over with them really easy. In the WWF, it was kind of weird though, because as Dwayne and I went on, the fans really started chanting for us. So it was kind of crazy. We went out one night and people were holding up a sign that said Dwayne Gill for president, Barry Hardy for vice president. So, we were still heels. We were yelling at them and screaming at them and calling them all kind of names, but they were still cheering for us. So.
And Dwayne Gill was Gilbert at one point,
right?
Correct?
Yeah. We actually we did a lot of work together, me and Dwayne. So we had some pretty awesome matches.
All right. Well, that's cool. Have you got any last things you want to say? I see he doesn't talk, right?
He doesn't need to talk. I got one thing to say to you people. You were lucky to have an interview with the bad boy, so enjoy it.
Nice. Hope you win tonight.
Do you have a website?
Yeah. Go to myspace.com /Bad Boy Barry Hardy, and tons of pictures on there. Check it out. Email me. I email it back because I do, as a lot of wrestlers don't, I do work my own MySpace page, so I will answer your email.